This is Darius, the Professor Wise, host of Wise Words with Darius. Thank you.
Some of you have been told that you're not tall enough. Some of you have been told that you're not skinny enough. Some of you have been told that you're not smart enough. Some of you have actually been told that your skin color is not the right color. You've all been misdiagnosed.
Then it hit me. It's not hearing the information that matters. It is the application and the implementation of that information that makes the difference.
Yes.
What's up, guys? Happy Monday. Welcome to Wise Words with Darius. I appreciate you joining me this evening. So I'm excited about the show that we have today. Guys, I want to first wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. I know this is the week of Thanksgiving, and I want to make sure that I put that out there that, I wish you a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you had a phenomenal weekend. I am your host for Wise Words with Darius, the Professor Wise. And tonight I want to ask you a question. I want you to think about this as well. And in the whole spirit of Thanksgiving, I want to ask you, what are you thankful for, right? What are you thankful for? And I also want to give you this as something to kind of think about as well, is that there is always something to be thankful for. There's always something to be thankful for. But on the show, for those who are just tuning in for the first time and taking a look at what we're doing, and those that are on Facebook Live, I definitely encourage you to join the conversation, put in some comments. We'll kind of go through a lot of that stuff today. But for those who don't know, I am Darius the Professor Wise. I consider myself a thought provoker. My goal and mission in life is basically just to help get you to think a little bit. Provoke some thought, have you question some of the beliefs that you have, some of the thoughts that you have. And when I say beliefs, I'm not referencing like your religious beliefs all the time. It's just the things that you believe in life in general. And I just want you to question some of those. My understanding and the things that I've gone through as a neuro coach and as a certified success coach through Jack Canfield is that we have been programmed to think a certain way. And because of that programming, we believe things that we were taught and told when we were children. And our paradigm has been programmed since we were 5 to 7 years old. So it's time that we actually start to question and start to, not really question, but start to at least challenge some of the thoughts and beliefs that we have. So here on the show, what we do every week is basically I just share thought-provoking wise words, success principles that will help you become your best self, right? We all are looking to be our best self. We're all looking to get to that point where we are portraying ourselves as our authentic self. That's part of the goal here. And, I believe that no matter how old you are, based on if we knew why we made certain decisions, it would give us a better understanding of how we got to where we are in life. And if we had control of that process, we could now put ourselves in a situation that we will have less regret. Because that's the worst thing, right? You grow older, you get to a point where you say, how did I get here? What happened to get me to this point? And we question some of those things, and we may have regrets on things that we did or maybe didn't do that we know we probably should have. So as we go through each week, these are some of the things that we're going to talk about. And tonight, I want to talk about being thankful, but I also want to include in that, how does being thankful affect our brain? How does it affect our thoughts? Because there is a correlation. So we're going to cover and go through some of those things tonight. Now, earlier I was watching a video that I saw on YouTube, and this video kind of sparked some thoughts for me. And it talked about being thankful, and it talked about being grateful and having gratitude. And I wanted to take a second to show a video, something like the one I saw, that kind of gives just make you think a little bit before we get into the meat of tonight's show. So I want to take a minute. The video is very short, but I want to take a minute, read what comes up, watch the video, and then we're going to get into what are you thankful for. So let's take a second, watch the video, and we'll be right back. So let me ask you, again, what are you thankful for? See, if you watch that video, it may have put a different spin on it, because it's actually asking you to be thankful for some of the things that you probably were not considering to be good things, right? These may have been bad things, but what are you thankful for? What has happened in your past that you're thankful for or grateful for? What has happened recently that you are thankful for or grateful for? See, I'm very thankful for a plethora of things. I'm thankful for my health. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for the journey that I'm on. I'm thankful for being able to write a book and become an author. I'm thankful to be able to now live my passion and being able to have this show, to be able to share with each of you every single week. I'm thankful for these things, but I'm also thankful for the struggles. See, I'm thankful for the struggle. I'm thankful for the pain that I had to go through, the hard times that I had to go through, the things that didn't go the way I intended. I'm thankful for those things. And you know, the setbacks, the losses, and the what people call quote unquote failures, I am happy for all of those things simply because it gave me the idea that I could be better. Think about that. Like, it gave me the idea that I had more to learn. It gave me an idea that I had more to strive for. So I'm thankful for all the good things, but I'm also thankful for all those challenges that I had, or the things that we may not be considering good things, right? So I want you to think about this. Think about this for a second. Hey, Nancy. Hey, LaShawn. How y'all doing? Just all my Facebook friends. Hey, Dr. Denise. But I want you to think about this. If it wasn't for the setbacks, if it wasn't for the failures, for me, I would not have known that there was more in me, right? I probably would not have known that I could have strived a little harder or reached a little higher as I was going through my journey. For me, if everything would have worked out the way I wanted to, it wouldn't have challenged me. And the same thing is for you. If everything is working out for you, you don't appreciate it, and you don't push yourself to see how far you can go. You don't put yourself in that situation where you can actually strive and be better than you even thought you could be. When these type of events happen that challenge you, right? When these challenging events happen, it is your choice. It is our choice to decide how we're going to record those things in our mind. Like we are the ones that get to say how this is going to be labeled. So this event that just happened, whatever that event may be. So it may not be something you're considering that I should be thankful for, right? So it's maybe not something that you would consider that you should be thankful for, but you have the ability, and you're the only one that has this ability to actually say how you're going to label that event, right? So when it's something that we're thankful for, usually we default to think about things that were good for us, that worked out for us. But we label those things. So those things that we labeled it. That we labeled not good for us or bad or whatever the case may be, those things we have labeled bad. So now we put the negative connotation on that event, and whenever we think about that event, what happens is now we start to think of it as something bad that we should not be thankful for. So we shouldn't be thankful for it because we've labeled it as bad or negative, and it has that type of effect on our life moving forward. So so there'll be you'll have all kinds of experiences. You're going to have things that are going to happen that maybe pushes you in the direction you want to go. You may have some things that actually give you some resistance on the way that you want to go. Whatever it is, if you label it good, you label it bad, we will all have those type of experiences. And if you label it bad and you consider it bad and you think about it in that light, what happens is now you're actually going to have something that's going to have a negative effect on your life. You're going to have something that's going to have a negative outcome in the things that you do moving forward. So this gives you this is what people use this for. So now this gives you what you may believe is a reason to play the victim card. So when these events happen that we may not consider something that we should be rightfully thankful for, now we play the victim card. So now we're looking for sympathy. We're looking for pity. We're looking for people to feel sorry for us. And we're in a situation, we're in a state where we're not looking to do something for ourselves because we have taken on and taken ownership of a situation that now says life has happened to me. Life has happened to me. So you're going to have those situations. So let me explain this to you. Let me share this with you. I know that there are people that have had hard times. I know that there are people that have fallen on hard times. Things have been bad. Maybe your health, maybe it was you lost your job, but and those things will happen. I have personally been in some very challenging situations, right? Last year I had to have surgery because they found a mass in my colon. Be very transparent with you. That was a very tough situation. Not something that at the moment I would have felt that I should be thankful for, right? I lost my job. I was released from my job this summer. Probably not something that most people would consider something you should be thankful for, right? I've been in a situation where I had a negative bank account. Like, how does that work? Like, how do you even have like a negative bank account, right? I was in such a bad situation. Not only did I owe creditors, I owed the bank, right? So I was in a negative situation with the bank. I had to, as an adult, I was a grown man with a child, living on my own, not in a situation where I can continue to live where I was living, and had to move back with my parents. Not something people would say I'm thankful for. I was thankful for the fact that they were there, but having to be in that situation, not something that you consider something you should be thankful for, right? Now, here's the thing. So I've had some hard times, and I know that you probably had some hard times too. You may be going through some hard times right now. So that's why I'm glad that you're here and you're listening and watching this show, because I'm going to share some things with you that should change the perspective. Just give you something else to think about. So I went through all those things, had rough times, had these situations in my life that at the time, with the mindset that I had, was not something that I would say, I'm thankful for that, right? What I was looking for was sympathy. I was looking for pity. I was looking for somebody to help me out, bail me out of this so I can get out of this situation. Give me that hand out or hand up so I can move out of the situation that I was in. But all it did, when I think about it, and I think back on it, what that did do, instead of actually make it better, like looking for sympathy, looking for pity, looking for somebody to kind of, give me that, that hand up to kind of get me out of it without me doing anything, all it really did was make me, feel sorry for myself. And it just kept me in that cycle of feeling sorry for myself. It was one of those situations, and you may have experienced this, where you just want to go and get in the bed, curl up in the bed, put the covers over your head, and just hope that when you pull the covers back, it's gone. It's over. And now we're in a good space. But it doesn't happen like that. I wanted to do that. I wanted to just go and hide. And you have some people that when they find themselves in these situations that they have labeled as bad or didn't work out for them, didn't go their way, what they do is they may self-medicate. They may turn to alcohol. They may turn to all these other things. It starts the depression cycle. All of these things happen because we have took the ownership of saying, this I'm going to label as a bad event. This is something I'm going to label as something that I'm not thankful for. I'm not thankful that I went through this situation. When I was younger, this is a few years back, right? I had a mentor, and we would have events and meetings and things like that where we would get together and kind of go over different things. And so anytime we would have these events and people would come to the event, and as we would come to the event, he would be at the door, right? And he was a big guy, tall, and he was really stocky, right? And so, he already had that factor of intimidation when you looked at him, but he was a nice guy, cool guy. But what he would say is, he said, if you had a bad day, things ain't go your way, take all of that happened, go back to your car, put it in your trunk. Put it in the trunk of your car, come on back into the meeting. And he would say, I guarantee you, while you're in here, nobody's going to steal your problems. Nobody's going to steal the issues that you have. But leave them in the trunk of your car. When you leave, you can go back and you can get them. And that was so crazy for me because it really shed a light on the situation. So it doesn't matter what happened to you during the day. Only way it's going to continue to affect you is if you continue to carry it with you. So he actually was giving us permission, right, to put those things down for a while. Just put them down and not carry them with you everywhere you went. Put them down. If you handle situations that you feel are bad, and you take it where you go and you want to curl up in the bed, put the covers over your head. If you do that, when you peek your head back out of the covers, guess what? Those problems are still there. They're still going to be there. And that's where I was. So I was going through this process of trying to hide from these issues, hide from these things that, right now I may not consider to be things that were events that I should be thankful for. Let's put it that way. What eventually got me out of these situations? Let me share this with you. What eventually got me out of these situations was, of course, I started to work on me. I started to work on my mindset. I started to work on how I think and how I picture these events and how I label them in my own mind as they were happening. So that was one thing that I really started to do. And then I actually started to ask myself, and I would say, okay, that just happened. What am I going to do now that just happened? So whatever it was. So give you an example. This summer, back in June, my job told me that they were going to go in a new direction. They wanted to, get rid of the training program. I was a trainer there, and they were letting me go. So I'm sitting there and I said, okay, that just happened. Okay, that really happened. And at that moment, I had to ask myself, so what now? What are you going to do now? Are you going to have a pity party? Are you going to sit there and cry in your milk? What are you going to do? So I had to make a decision so that I can respond in a way that would get me the outcome that I desired. So it wasn't an event that most people would say was a favorable event, something that they can be excited about and something that they would be thankful for. But I had to ask myself, what now? Do I want to be in a situation where I'm feeling bad and I got to go home to my wife and I'm looking like I need somebody to just kind of hold me? Or do I want to go home and be in a situation where I have excitement and I'm enthused about what the next chapter will bring? So I had to change how I thought about that situation. So ask yourself, what can you do when something like that happens? What can you do to move forward and change your path? So maybe you're going down a path that's not leading to what you ultimately want to go in life. How do you change that? Ask yourself, is what I'm getting ready to do, the way that I normally would probably respond, is that going to get me where I want to go? Because you will never have a positive life if all you have is negative thinking. So you got to change how you're thinking. You know, I heard that if you're having a bad day, help somebody else. Help somebody else out. Because now that takes your focus off of the bad stuff that you feel that you're going through. Right? And, you know, my mother, my grandmother, my grandparents would always tell me this. Whenever there was a bad situation, they would say, and some of you may have heard this before, I'm sure of it. They would say, boy, you better count your blessings. So something may not have gone my way. My grandmother would tell me, boy, you better count your blessings. My mother would tell me, right, mother? You better count your blessings. Because there's somebody in a worse situation than you. Now, let me show you how powerful that phrase is if we really think about what it says. So counting your blessings, that's a phrase that we hear all the time. You know, it comes generation to generation, they share that. But it actually has psychological benefits. There's psychological benefits to counting your blessings. See, they knew they were helping me, but they may not have known to the level how they were helping with that phrase, right? Counting your blessings, they knew it would help me feel better. And when they tell you, they know it's going to help you feel better. But what they were doing is, and what they're doing when somebody tells you that, or when you actually do that, what you're doing is you're changing your brain. You're changing the dynamic of your brain, like the connections, the neuroplasticity is happening. So now you're making new connections and new neuron connections in your brain when you actually count your blessings. Let me explain. So we see that there is a tremendous increase in rise in like mental health concerns, right? We see it all the time. It's on the news every single day. We see it all the time. So we have this rise in these mental health concerns, and there have been studies that have been done and that they're doing to try to figure out how to help individuals that may be in a situation where they have some mental concerns, how to derive the greatest benefit from treatment and psychological counseling. Okay, stay with me here. So now research has shown that the practice of gratitude has been beneficial. The practice of gratitude has shown that people who consciously, now we're intentionally doing this, who consciously count their blessings tend to be happier. They tend to be less depressed. They tend to be in better moods, those that consciously count their blessings. Count your blessings, guys. Why does counting your blessings help? I'm going to share it with you. But there was a study. Let me give you some information about this study. There was a study published in July of 2015 in the Journal of Psychotherapy Research. What they did was they took about 300 adults who were seeking some mental health counseling. They had some concerns, right? So they were recruited for this study. And just before they began their counseling sessions, what they did was they took participants and randomly put them into one of three groups. So they put them in one of three groups. One group, the first group, they actually had them write a letter of gratitude to someone else. So somebody that did something or there was a part of their life that they were thankful and grateful for. So they had them write a letter to that person, write a letter of gratitude to that person. The second group, what they did with the second group was they had the second group write their deepest thoughts. It's like write out what are your deepest thoughts and feelings about negative situations or a negative experience that they had. So the first group wrote a gratitude letter for 3 weeks, once a week for 3 weeks. The second group wrote down what their deepest thoughts and feelings were about a negative experience. The third group, they didn't have to do any kind of writing activity at all, right? So we have these three groups. They broke these people up. This is what the study found. Let me tell you how powerful this is. The study said it found that those who wrote gratitude letters reported significantly better mental health 4 weeks in and 12 weeks after writing the gratitude letters. So after 4 weeks, they had already shown significantly better mental health simply by writing a gratitude letter to someone once a week. That was the only difference in these three groups. Now, they also found indications of how gratitude might actually work on our minds and our bodies. So the gratitude letter, they now are saying, hold up. This looks like it's actually doing something to their mind and it's helping them physically, their body physically. Now, this is just one study. There are tons of studies that go on like this all the time, especially in this time, in this day and age with the mental health issues and all these things that are coming up. But there have been plenty of studies done that prove that being grateful has benefits. That being grateful and thankful do have a positive impact on your mind and your body. Now, you may be asking, how's that possible? Is that really what happens? And let me share, I'm gonna share something with you that kind of proves this. So you may be asking, how is this possible? How can writing a letter, being thankful in the letter, actually have an impact on your mind and your body? How does that work? How is that possible to be done? Okay? I want to do a little exercise with you. I want you to do something. Now, if you're not in a situation where you can actually kind of focus right now, I need you to do this later. But I want you to go through this exercise just to see how it works for you. All right? It's nothing bad. I'm not going to have you do anything stressful or anything. But this is what I want you to do. This is the exercise. Okay? I want you to actually take a minute, kind of clear your mind, and think about a bad experience that you had. If it was a loss of a loved one. Now, I know I really don't want to bring up the negative feelings that you're going to have, but I need you to do this for me so you can understand how this works. So I want you to think about a bad experience that you had. Think about something that you consider to be negative that you might have even taken hard. Okay? Think about that for a second. Now, when you actually think about that, like you seriously take time and you think about it, put yourself back in that situation. Hear what's being said. See what you saw at that time. Really put yourself in that space again. Like really go through that in your mind. And I want to ask you, when you do that, when you think about that event that way, when you really put yourself in that situation, how do you feel? Like, how do you feel? What are you feeling? What are you thinking? Right? So when you bring back all those memories, It's not just thoughts in your mind. Because what you're more than likely going through, or which if you seriously do this, you're going to have a visceral effect. You're actually going to feel it in your body. You may actually feel that your heart starts racing. You may have started to perspire. Your blood pressure probably goes up. You're going to have a visceral effect when you actually just think about this experience. When you just think about that experience, it's going to put you back in a state where you're feeling what you felt at the time that it happened. So that thought is going to make you feel like it's happening right now if you seriously sit down and think about that experience. So you're going to have some type of visceral effect. So the thoughts that you have, if it's a negative thought, it is going to give you negative feelings. You're going to have those feelings. You're going to feel tense. You're going to feel you may feel that your stomach is a little queasy. You're going to have some type of effect that you feel physically. It's not just a thought that is disconnected from the rest of your body. It is pretty much impossible for us to have a thought and not really have some type of physical effect, especially if it's a negative thought. Now, when this happens, when you have these thoughts, what you think and how you think are not separate from how you feel. See? So most of us are not that emotionally intelligent where we can clearly separate how we feel and based on what we think. So those things go together. How you feel about a situation is going to be the same. How you think about the situation, you're going to have a physical effect. You're going to have something that happens physically in your body. So your brain is the control center of everything. Everything. Your body, your hands, how you move, your breathing, all of that is controlled by your brain. So if you have a thought, your brain is going to have some control over what happens to your body at the same time. So when you have those negative thoughts, your body probably goes into fight or flight mode. You're in survival mode. Your mind is telling your body that you're in that situation again, that you're in that situation right now. So this is what's going to happen. So your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up. All these things are happening simply because you had a thought. Nothing even happened. The event didn't happen just now, but because you had the thought, your brain says, oh, this is happening. We got to react. We got to respond. And it does that, and it tries to keep you in survival mode. So that's why you're having all these effects physically. It responds. Your brain is going to respond the way that you've been programmed. So if you've been programmed, if something happens and you react a certain way, your brain is going to respond that way every time. Unless you take a minute and gain consciousness and say, I am not going to respond this way, and you change or react, really, you're going to actually take time and respond. So here's what happens. You have this thought, your body reacts to the thought. If it's a negative thought, your body's going to react in a way where you feel what we consider negative feelings. Now, if we flip the coin, if you take a minute and think about one of the joyous events in your life, think about one of the times you were the happiest in your life. Maybe it's when you got married. Maybe it's when you had a kid. Maybe it's when you graduated from college or you got that dream job. Whatever it was that made you feel elated, take a second and think about that. And think about what happened when you were there, what it looked like, what it smelled like, what did you hear? Put yourself back in that situation, right? So when you go and you put yourself back in that situation where you had a great event, something that happened in your life that you were excited about, what happened, when it happened, how it happened, when you think about all that, ask yourself, now I want to ask you, how do you feel? Right? How did that make you feel? How does that translate into your body? See, you're going to have a visceral effect with that too. You're going to have a physical reaction to that good thought, that positive thought. So instead of it being a negative emotions, You're probably now smiling. You're probably feeling good. You're probably, you might get butterflies in your stomach. You may be all jittery. You may have a tingling sensation going through your body. You're having a visceral effect for that as well. So when you have something good that happens, your body is also going to have a visceral effect. You're going to have, your body's going to experience that thought as well, just like the negative. So think about this. You're going to feel good when you have good thoughts. Your heart rate's not going to go up. Your blood pressure's not going to go up. You're not going to be elevated. You're not going to be sweating. You're not going to be in a negative state. You're going to be smiling. You're going to be happy. Those are the things that's going to happen within your body. So depending on the thoughts that you have. So when we think about Thanksgiving, and we think about this time of year when we all pretty much collectively start to think about the things that we're thankful for, you may be thinking that the only things that I should be thankful for are the good things, because the good things make me feel good based on how I'm programmed to think about them. It's only because how you're programmed to think about those things. Nothing else. We are the ones that label the event. Something happens, we say, oh, that's a positive event. I'm happy with that. I feel good. Something else happens, we say, oh, that's a negative event. I don't like that. So now I don't feel good. I want sympathy. I want pity. I want somebody to feel sorry for me. We are not in a situation where somebody else is doing this. This is where we have to understand our phenomenal brain and our phenomenal mind. We are putting ourselves through these situations. If you have a thought, if it happened or if it didn't happen, you could have just imagined something. Your brain is going to think it actually happened. And my friend Malcolm here said on Facebook, he actually said this: your brain cannot distinguish reality from imagination. That is absolutely correct. So when you're thinking about what you're thankful for, you're going to think of the thoughts that made you feel good. But the thoughts that made you feel good are ones that were labeled by you to say that they should feel good. If you have a thought that didn't even happen, your body's still going to react to it. Right? Isn't that crazy? So a lot of times people will have a thought in their head and they'll react to the thought. The thought didn't happen. No event happened. You just had a thought in your head. You made an assumption based on a thought that you have and you reacted to it. So now we have to be conscious of what we're thinking. Conscious of the thoughts that we're having. We have to gain that consciousness. Now, I want to share a couple more things with you before we wrap up. But what we're going to do real quick, I'm going to take a quick commercial break. When we take this commercial break, when we come back, I am going to share a couple other things from this that we're talking about. I want to share a couple other things with you, but then I'm also going to give you, of course, my What Now segment at the end. So stay with me. We'll be right back. We're going to take a quick commercial break.
So we're all excited now because Darius has written his first book. Yes.
All right, guys. So here's the key. When you have a thought, whatever it is, however you label it, this is what I want you to understand. Wherever your focus goes, your energy flows. Wherever your focus goes, your energy flows. So if you're having these negative thoughts and you focus on those negative thoughts and the quote unquote bad situation in your life or whatever the case may be, and you're doing this constantly, you're continuously focused on these, you are always going to repeat the feelings that come along with that. So if you find yourself in a situation where you always feel like life is happening to you, it's going to be because you keep putting yourself in this situation and focusing on what has happened. When I was a kid, some of you may have done this. I remember being a kid, going outside playing, and on those hot summer days, we would have little magnifying glasses. Any of y'all ever did this? Take the magnifying glass and you put it over top of a leaf, right? And we'll put it over the leaf, hoping that the sun would come through, and the goal was to get the leaf to catch on fire. But if we didn't get that sharp, fine point, little laser beam coming out of the magnifying glass going to the leaf, if we didn't focus it to that level, it would never spark anything that would actually burn the leaf. So we had to make sure that the magnifying glass was focused so that we were holding it the right way so it would focus and actually start to burn the leaf. This is the same way your mind works. If you take that laser focus and you are pointing it at negative, you're pointing it at the things that you are saying that I should not be thankful for, what happens is all your energy is going to go there and you're not going to get the result that you want. But if you focus that on what it is that you do want, you'll be able to get the results that you want. And so make sure that you're not putting yourself consistently in a situation where you're feeling sorry for yourself or you're taking those things that happen to you as a negative. So here's my thing. I share some events that happen in my life, right? Some things that most people, we typically wouldn't consider to be good events. Like I had surgery last year. It's pretty rough. But I am so thankful for the fact that I actually went through that. I am thankful. You know why? Because it made me focus on my health. It made me focus on the things that I was eating, the things that I was doing to my body by putting all this stuff in my body based on what I was eating. It made me focus on that. If I didn't go through that situation, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have thought about that. I'd have kept eating the way I was. I would have kept eating the things that I was eating, and I wouldn't have changed my thought process on food. I lost my job a few months ago. I am so thankful for that opportunity, for that happening. I am thankful because if I had not lost my job, I probably wouldn't have put in the focus, the time, and the attention that I really needed to finish my book. I probably wouldn't have. I probably would still be kind of dabbling on, oh, I'm almost done. No, but because I lost my job, I was like, oh, this is it. I'm not going back to look for another job. I am going to use my gift now. And it made me focus on the book, right? I've lost loved ones. I've had all these things happen. But when you have the mindset that there is always something to be thankful for, you change how you look at that event. And this is what I want to get you guys to start doing. Change how you look at the events that happen in your life and ask the question, why did this happen? What am I supposed to get out of this? What am I supposed to learn from this? What is the lesson or the blessing in this event happening? I share this equation with you guys all the time. If you listen to me, you follow me, and you're watching you watch the show every week, I share this equation all the time. E plus R equals O. The event plus your response equals the outcome. So regardless of the event, and understand, I'm being very clear with this. You may not have any control over the event, but that event plus your response gets the outcome. It's not the event happens and you get an outcome. No, it's the event plus how you respond that gets you the outcome. So regardless of what that event is, you have to take a second and think about, what do I want as an outcome? Is the thinking that I have right now going to get me the outcome that I want? Because based on that thinking, you're going to actually go and take actions. And are those the actions that really will get you where you need to be? So now you'll have an outcome that you're going to look at and say, am I thankful for that? Am I thankful for that happening to me? Did I just label that a bad situation and just react and not respond? These are the things that we have to take a second to now be thankful for. So here, I want to share something else with you. We need to be thankful. We need to be grateful for the things that have happened in our life. There's always something to be thankful for, guys. Always. Even in the midst of a not so favorable event, a not so favorable situation, there is something to be thankful for. And sometimes you may not realize what that thing is until later as you look back. Because again, we cannot connect the dots until we look back. You can only connect the dots looking back. There are events that happened in your life that had to happen the way that they did in order for you to get to where you need to be. And some of those events are not going to be ones that most people consider favorable. So they're always going to be those things. Always. So before we wrap up for tonight, always be thankful. Always be grateful. Don't just look at it as once a year, the third Thursday of November is the time that I need to be thankful. We need to be thankful all the time. You need to write down what you're thankful for if that helps you. You should keep a gratitude journal. There's a lot of people that do that. But here I want to share some insights that came from the research that I mentioned earlier, the study that I mentioned earlier. So this is going to be our what now section. So I want to give you 4 things that came out of that study. The first one is gratitude unshackles us from toxic emotions. Gratitude unshackles us from toxic emotions. Focusing on gratitude pushes us to focus on positive words. When you focus on gratitude, it pushes you to focus on positive words. And positive words make us feel better. Positive words make us feel good. It shifts our attention away from those thoughts and the words that are really, truly toxic to our physical body and our mental health. So, gratitude unshackles us from toxic emotions. Number 2, or actually before I even get to that, I want to share this with you. So, when you have something that happens that's good, right? In the presence of something that we consider good or makes us feel good, the brain actually does something. The brain releases what it calls feel-good chemicals, right? This is why we like things that make us feel good. This is why we repeat those things that make us feel good, because our brain wants us to be in that euphoric state. So it releases chemicals to give us that kind of high to make us say, yeah, I want to do that again, right? It's like riding a roller coaster. If you're one of those SEAL freaks, you are a thrill seeker. When you ride a roller coaster, yeah, let's ride it again. Because this is what happens. Your brain releases chemicals. There are 4 chemicals that your brain will release when you feel good. One of them is endorphins, right? There's oxytocin, serotonin, and my favorite, dopamine. Dopamine is like that feel-good drug. And, in the presence of bad situations, this is where you have to be careful. In the presence of bad situations or unwanted situations, the brain also releases chemicals. It releases the bad feeling chemical, which is cortisol. And that is what brings up your stress level. That is what puts you in a situation where now you can't think clearly. You go into another whole state with the cortisol, and it actually has a physical effect on your body. So understand, if you are not practicing gratitude and being thankful for the things that are going on in your life, it is going to have a physical effect on your body. It may be that you get sick. Yep. It may be that disease starts. Yep. because that's what cortisol actually does. If it's constantly dripping, if your brain is constantly releasing that, it's going to create those things in your body. So be aware. Be in a happy state. Find the blessing in everything that happens to you. Find what you should be thankful for. So let me go through the rest of these. So number 2. So the first one, gratitude unshackles us from toxic emotions. Number 2, gratitude helps us even if we don't share it. So in that study, the people that were in the group that wrote the letter of gratitude to someone else, only 23% of them actually shared that letter with that person. The others that didn't share the letter with the person still had those chemicals released in their body because they wrote down and they focused on what they were thankful for. So even if they didn't send it to someone else, if you write down what you're thankful for, or you think about what you're thankful for, you don't even have to share it with someone else to get the effect of what gratitude does to us physically. So you don't even have to share it. So number 2 is gratitude helps even if you don't share it. Number 3, gratitude benefits take time. Don't think that you're going to write one letter of gratitude and tomorrow you're going to be feeling great and you're going to be like, woohoo, my life is better. No, it takes time. So you have to understand it has taken you, how old are you? It has taken you that long to develop the mindset that you have right now. You can't change that overnight. Be patient with yourself, but be conscious and be focused on being grateful. Be conscious and be focused on being thankful, because now it's going to put you in a mindset that if you are consistently focusing on the good and you take those small steps of focusing on gratitude every day and being grateful and being thankful every day, you will see the benefits. So don't think it's going to be one gratitude letter or one thought of thankfulness. It's not going to be on Thursday, I'm going to talk about all the things I'm thankful for, and on Friday, I'm good. No, it takes time. You have to create a new habit and change how you think. Okay? Number 4. So number 3 is gratitude benefits take time. So be patient with yourself. Number 4, gratitude has lasting effects on the brain. Lasting effects. The brain. So when you are grateful and you are practicing gratitude, it will have an effect. After you thought about what you're grateful for, your brain is still going to benefit from that beyond the moment when you were just having that thought or wrote the letter or however you express your gratitude. So people who are more grateful are also more attentive to how they express their gratitude. So once you start focusing on gratitude, you're going to start to see yourself doing things that you may not have done before. So now you may start to be a contradiction. The new you is going to be a contradiction to the old you. You're going to start focusing on things and doing things and saying things that you probably didn't do and say before. And that's going to be one of those lasting effects of just being grateful and just practicing gratitude. Practicing gratitude helps train your brain to be more sensitive to the experiences of other people and experiences that you've had yourself. So as you change your thought pattern, you create new connections in the brain. You develop what's called neuroplasticity. You are starting to change the brain. You're starting to actually change your brain. So again, you got to be thankful for the things that you've gone through. Figure out how those things have benefited you instead of focusing on that it didn't work out the way you want at that moment. Thursday is Thanksgiving, guys. It is my hope and my prayer that you focus on some of the things that you may have labeled in the past as negative, things that you may have labeled in the past as being bad, and see the benefit in those things, how they have made an impact in your life. Even if it's simply those things taught me that I needed to get better. Those things taught me that there was something else I needed to learn. I want to share this real quick with you before we wrap up. Today, we had a student-led parent-teacher conference at my son's school. So this is my youngest son, DJ. He's 12. So we had this meeting in his school, and it was parent-led. And the teacher asked him a question about some of the things that were not great experiences that he had. And he said, and she asked him, how did those affect him? He said, well, it really taught me that I could do better. And it taught me that there was something else that I could learn. That's amazing at 12. That's how we need to think. Something happens that is not exactly what we want. We have to start looking at it as, how can this make me better? How can I learn something to do a better job next time? So guys, I thank you. I'm very thankful. I'm very grateful that you joined me today for Wise Words with Darius. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I hope you have a phenomenal week, a phenomenal holiday weekend. Also, on Thursday, I am going to have a Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale starting on Thursday, on Thanksgiving. So the book will be half price, and I'm going to have the audio for the book available on my website. The sale is not going to be on Amazon, so if you go to Amazon to get the book, you're not going to get this. You actually have to go to IamDariusWise.com, IamDariusWise.com, and the book on Thursday will be 50% off, and the audio will be available. The audio will be $11.99 or something like that on Thursday. Guys, I'm so excited about this. So between Thursday and Monday, this sale will go from Thursday to Monday. The book is 50% off, and the audio will be available starting on Thursday as well. So have a great Thanksgiving, guys. I hope you take advantage of the sale. I think you all need this book. Our young people need this book. Everyone needs to read it so we understand how our phenomenal mind works. So happy Thanksgiving. I hope you all have a phenomenal week. I want to thank you for joining me this evening. Make sure you join me next week and share this out. If you're one of the Facebook friends, share this out, because I know there's a lot of people that you know that I can't reach without your help. So share this out, but make sure you join me next week. I have a phenomenal guest coming, and if you have ever had an idea of writing a book, you don't want to miss this one. If you ever had the idea of writing a book, make sure you're here next Monday, 8:30. So guys, have a great week. Happy Thanksgiving to you, and I'll see you next Monday. And always remember, greatness begins with one wise decision. Have a great evening, guys. We'll see you next time. This is Darius, the Professor Wise, host of Wise Words with Darius. Thank you.
Some of you have been told that you're not tall enough.